Namaste one and all. My humble pranams to Param Pujya Rajashri Muniji and all the masters in the field of yoga. So today I have given an opportunity to share a few insights into the topic of effect of yoga on different systems of human body. So before we get into the effects of yoga on different systems, let us try to understand the basic nature of yoga and human existence. So as we all know, yoga is a ancient Indian way of living, and from last couple of decades, we in the sense the medical fraternity started looking yoga into mind-body discipline, and rigorous research has been taking place in this area. But for the complete understanding, yoga is a somato-spiritual discipline which involves different varieties of practices that which helps an individual to explore not only the journey of health to wellness, but to explore the fullest potential of an individual. That is what the ultimate aim of yoga, where we talk about a union of individual consciousness with the universal consciousness, yeah, God realization. But ultimately, today we are focusing on the effect of yoga on different systems. So, uh, before we begin, we should always, pranam Almighty, because the entire journey will be successful only with the support of Almighty. So, my pranams to Almighty for giving me this opportunity. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin today's topic. So, yoga has a broad category of you know results on psychophysical as well as psychosocial, psychospiritual, and multidimensional existence of human body. So today we are just restricting ourselves to understand the effect of yoga on physical domain. So under the physical domain, if we try to understand the effect of yoga on nervous system, as we all know that nervous system has central to peripheral nervous system, but regular practice of yoga has shown to increase the cortical thickness. Cortical thickness is one of the indicator to show the neuroplasticity. There will be new networks, and the gray matter, especially the thickness of the gray matter density in the lower brain region, especially the stem region that is responsible for cardiopulmonary conditioning, becomes more intact. The density becomes more. Then along with that, if you try to understand the electrical activity, the entire neurobiology of brain alters by practicing yoga, because even single session of yoga can enhance GABA aminobutyric acid in the brain, that in turn leads to alpha wave formation in the brain. That is nothing but the relaxation state. So from the relaxation state to the maximum potential of human brain is possible through regular practice of yoga. Few examples are by practicing yoga, visual scanning, spatial memory, sustained attention, psychomotor speed. So the wide range of executive functions get enhanced by regular practicing of yoga. Then along with that, if we try to understand the synchrony between the right and left hemisphere, the cerebral coherence gets enhanced by practicing yoga. That's one of the best indicator for establishing health and wellness. Along with that, there is altered blood flow to the cerebral regions, especially the prefrontal and frontal area of the brain that is responsible for executive functions, and even it could be correlated as a seat of consciousness. And along with that, there will be an increment in brain-derived neutropic factor, that the protein responsible for protecting the brain tissue, and neurogenesis as well. So these are only the selected few scientific evidences which supports the regular practice of yoga has a very positive as well as preventive and therapeutic impact on human nervous system. Even if you try to take a look into a therapeutic option, so these practices definitely have a stronger potential to be a preventive as well as therapeutic tools in neurodegenerative disorders and autoimmune demyelinating disorder like multiple sclerosis and even diabetic neuropathy, because it has been proven that practicing yoga enhances the nerve conduction velocity. So these are the few scientific quantified evidences which supports the positive impact of yoga practice on human nervous system. Then after that, if we try to look into the cardiovascular system, how yoga practice enhances cardiovascular systems efficiency is through by reducing blood pressure and reducing pulse rate. Then, along with that, it increases myocardial perfusion, which means it increases a blood flow to the heart muscle, through which it reduces coronary lesions, which means that is one of the major cause of ischemic heart disease and coronary artery diseases. So, it has a therapeutic potential of reversing coronary artery diseases as well as preventing coronary heart diseases. Then, along with that, it also increases heart rate variability, especially the high intensity, high power frequency activity of the heart will be enhanced, which means it is slowly shifting the sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic dominance. And the risk factors for cardiovascular diseases like increased LDL, those things can be managed very effectively through the regular practice of yoga, because evidence clearly suggests that by regular practice of yoga, high density lipoprotein levels increases, so that, and along with that, the entire lipid profile gets normalized by practicing yoga, that favors the normal vascular health. Along with that, the baroreceptors, which are responsible for monitoring the blood pressure, get sensitized. Baroreceptor sensitivity can get enhanced by practicing yoga. And along with that, the nitric oxide activity, especially nitric oxide synthesis in the endothelium of the blood vessels, get enhanced. That in turn increases vascular health. So that is the most required thing to keep cardiovascular endurance optimum. So by and large, not only a few selected evidences, but we can go on making these objective evidences to support how yoga can enhances cardiovascular competencies. Then, even if we try to understand the very basic, for example, uh, uh, the respiratory support, because when we talk about cardiovascular system, obviously respiratory system will also get into the picture. So by practicing yoga, the respiratory changes, especially the respiratory volumes, even if you take forced expiratory volume or a peak expiratory, forced expiratory rate, or even simple respiratory rate, gets better by practicing yoga, especially the ventilatory functions, inspiratory and expiratory muscle strength gets better by practicing components of yoga. Overall cardiovascular endurance get enhanced by the regular practice of yoga, along with the anaerobic thresholds get better. So these are the evidence which supports how yoga can influence respiratory system's function in a positive way. So move on to the next system, that is the endocrine system, because endocrine system is again one of the major system that regulates most of the physiological functions through chemical communications. So here the basic the hormone profiling, like regular practice of yoga, has proven to increase insulin sensitivity and leptin sensitivity, because at present what we are facing is the hyperinsulinemia and insulin related health complications. Not only diabetes, but the rest of the health complications are more or less related to insulin issues. Insulin resistance is the culprit. So by practicing different components of yoga, It has been proven to increase the insulin sensitivity, and along with that, leptin sensitivity, and it also increases, stimulates beta cells of the pancreas for glucose signaling. So, if we try to understand in a larger frame, it stabilizes neuroendocrine axis, because in the human system we have a different neuroendocrine axis through which multiple physiological process and pathways gets activated. Similarly, the hypothalamo-pituitary axis, hypothalamo-adrenal axis, or hypothalamo-ovarian axis, or even hypothalamo-thyroid axis, these are the different examples of neuroendocrine axes. These axes get normalized by regular practice of yoga. And along with that, at the brain level, there will be a significant increase in melatonin level. Melatonin level is the most crucial hormone in order to maintain the circadian rhythm. Biological rhythm gets established, and increased melatonin is the most commonest finding in people who are recovering from illness and people who are getting better from health to wellness. So, uh, at the larger scale, if you want to understand the effect of yoga on endocrine system, would be at the cellular level. It sensitizes the ligand and receptor activity, because most of the hormone resistance and hormone insensitivity what we see today are because of miscommunication between ligand and receptor. So receptor sensitivity gets enhanced by regular practice of yoga. Then after that, if we move on to the musculoskeletal system, yoga has a wide range of positive benefits. Simple example is, by regular practicing, it enhances endurance, agility, dexterity, and also it conditions our musculature in a way that it can work with less oxygen consumption. Means we can even work with the less oxygen requirement. Lesser VO2 max can aid further work. And most fascinating thing is, even with the less oxygen consumption, even we are working our muscles, but there will be no increment in blood lactate level, because the fatigue what we experience when we use musculoskeletal system for manual or physical activity, we get fatigue because of blood lactate levels. So by practicing yoga, the musculature becomes efficient means by the use of less oxygen. It can work efficiently by less oxygen. Also, it can produce less blood lactate levels. So that is something very crucial compared to other physical fitness regimes compared to yoga. Along with that, it enhances neuromuscular coordination, and orthostatic tolerance gets better by practicing yoga. Then most importantly, it prevents osteoporosis. Not only in elders, even in the middle-aged population, practicing yoga prevents osteoporosis. So that's something very interesting finding. Then, apart from that, the effect of yoga on immune system, if we try to explore, because right now we are in the midst of pandemic crisis, so immune function gets totally rejuvenated by regular practice of yoga, because the evidence clearly says, by regular practice of yoga, CD4 count and CD8 T cells, which are very crucial for combating with the foreign pathogens, and also scavenging the cancerous or malignant growth in the body. These CD4 and CD8 cells get enhanced by practicing regular practicing of yoga. Then, along with that, natural killer cells get promoted, along with significant reduction in pro and pre-inflammatory cytokines, especially the interleukin 6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin 1. These are the chemicals which are responsible for enhancing the inflammatory response in the body. An inflammatory response, especially the low grade inflammation, is not something which is favorable for human metabolism. So that in turn suppresses human immune modulation. So by practicing yoga, we can definitely reduce inflammatory changes and enhance immune modulation. So similarly, if we take a look into the digestive system, by practicing yoga on a very daily basis, the first and foremost thing, important thing, what I want to bring here is the energy metabolism, the energy balance, because right now globally we are suffering the epidemic of obesity. So obesity epidemic is becoming a big burden on healthcare system. So the energy system is totally messed up. So in order to resettle, in order to make it normal, the first thing we need to stabilize is the ghrelin rhythm. The ghrelin is the hormone which secretes from the stomach, which is responsible for our hunger cycle. So that is the hormone, which key hormone regulates our hunger. So this hormone has gone, out of synchrony. So to bring back ghrelin into a normal rhythm, yoga is the best possible way, and it is documented scientifically. Along with that, uh, the entire gut-brain axis, the enteric nervous system, what we refer, the entire gut-brain axis gets normalized. Start from the microbiota of the large intestine to the serotonin levels in the brain. The entire communication between brain and human guts becomes normalized by practicing yoga, because it enhances the gut motility, and even the stretch receptors and baroreceptors, all the sensors, what we in general term we call them as cytokines, they get completely activated at the digestive tract level, and that boosts the normal digestion, absorption, and assimilation of the food what we eat. That's what most crucial for us right now, because we do eat but we don't digest food properly, and if it gets digested but it won't get absorbed properly, even if it gets absorbed, the assimilation part is a bit challenging. So in order to establish normalcy at all the three levels, I think normalizing gut brain axis is um, very much required, and yoga does the job for us. Then along with that, even the hepatic lipase gets increased by practicing yoga. That in turn makes the adipose tissue sensitive, so that the triglyceride level, circulating triglyceride level in the blood gets lesser, and it gets stored in the adipose tissue as a stored fat. So that reduces greater risk of cardiovascular diseases and other cardiovascular related issues. So we can go on making the objective evidences to support the benefits of yoga, but along with that, it's very essential to understand the localized effect and generalized effect, because every practice of yoga definitely have yield into a generalized effect as well as localized effect. So as a practitioner, as a teacher, as a therapist, we should know the localized effect as well as generalized effect, because everything is psychological, is physiological, and everything physiological is psychological. It's vice versa. So obviously, every component has impact on an individual as a whole, but the localized effect pushes to understand its effect in a greater detail. That is what we are trying to explore today. Then move on to the next system, that is our respiratory system. Sorry, not respiratory, the excretory system. When we talk about excretory system, we greatly focus on our kidney functions. So regular practice of yoga enhances excretory mechanism by normalizing water and electrolyte balance, and it reduces renal sympathetic nervous activity. And also it has been found it reduces serum creatinine level, serum blood urea level, and even alkaline phosphatase level in the blood. That is something very essential in order to maintain a healthy kidney function, and even to enhance or restore normal renal function in compromised patients like chronic kidney disease or renal failure patients. And also, it has been proven that it increases the erythrocyte levels and hematocrit count in the blood after practicing yoga, especially even in the patients of renal failure. So that is something which is very promotive when it comes to yoga practice, because it is less expensive, and uh, the side effects are adverse effects are almost negligible. Why negligible? It could be because of practice error at times, but otherwise the errors are negligible. So it is safe to use, economic, and it gives us an opportunity to use it as a preventive, promotive, as well as curative tool. So that is something very much unique when it comes to yoga. Uh, Compared to other non-pharmacological approaches to health. Then the next thing is the reproductive system, how yoga impacts. So when it comes to male and female reproductive health issues, by practicing of yoga enhances the most important function of hormone sensitization, because the biggest challenge what we are facing today is the hormone resistance again. So when it comes to even reproductive system, the optimal changes in the hormone is very much required. So in order to make the optimized function of the hormone, the sensitivity should get enhanced. Yoga has that capacity to sensitize hormones, and n number of scientific studies have clearly documented the benefit, like treating infertility, male and female infertility, and giving better outcomes even in high risk pregnancies, and menstrual disorders, especially PCOS or other menstrual dysmenorrhea, metromenorrhagia, oligomenorrhagia, even dysfunctional uterine bleeding, we get to see a lot of positive changes uh, through yoga intervention. Like the treatment outcomes are very supportive. The simple example could be the menstrual pain, menstrual cramps. Instead of taking analgesic, if one should practice few yoga posture that enhances their pain tolerance, as well as it greatly reduces the prostaglandin myometrial prostaglandin levels, which means the prostaglandins responsible for the pain and the muscle contraction at the uterine level gets drastically reduced by a few asanas. So one can wisely utilize few postures to combat their menstrual discomfort and abnormalities. So the list goes on by not only thinning the ovarian lining, by uh, optimizing the hormone sensitivity at each and every aspect of human reproductive range. So the localized effect can be seen at the ovary, at the uterus, but the generalized effect can be seen even up to the central nervous system, because every practice gives rise to generalized effect as well as localized effect, because yoga practices are multidimensional by their effect. So when we do postures, posture has impacted the physical level as well as vital energy level, at the psychological level, even at the level of bliss sheet, because one can experience like Patanjali's quote of uh, Ananta Samapatti Bhyam. Even when we attain the mastery of even single physical posture, one can achieve the higher dimensions, higher levels of consciousness, or even higher potential of individuals. So the wide range of benefits of yoga gives an opportunity for an individual to explore his or her maximum potentials. So these are the few examples what we try to refer when it comes to systemic benefits of yoga. Apart from systemic benefits, we have overall benefits, like every practice of yoga, whether it is a physical manipulation, whether it is a detoxifying practice, whether it is a breath manipulation, whether it is the meditation technique, whether it is even simple devotional session, irrespective of what practice we do, every practice has its effect at each and every level of human existence, what we refer it as the panchakosha existence of human nature. So every practice has effect at the multidimensional existence, but only thing we need to focus here is the localized effect, make it more prominent so that we feel the effect is only limited or confined to this area, but that is not so. The effect of every practice is generalized by its nature, but because of its orientation, it might look local by the nature. So the practice of yoga, because there are multiple practice schedules and multiple practice uh, modalities are there in the field of yoga, because yoga is a vast mind body technique which includes not only meditation, relaxation, physical manipulations, but even the moral codes and contents. By and large, it's the entire positive lifestyle change which is originated from the ancient Indian lore. If we adopt this holistic yogic healthy living pattern, I think we can definitely prevent diseases, and as well as we can manage them if they are incurable. If they are curable, definitely we can cure them. So multidimensional effect of yoga can be extracted by a proper practice, as Patanjali says, nairantaryam. So by continuity, definitely we can attain the benefits of yoga at all the levels, so that we can reach the ultimate goal of yoga, that is to self realization or God realization. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. And we are very happy World Yoga Day to one and all. Be happy, be healthy, stay safe. Thank you very much.